Welcome back to another episode here on Mods and Fixes. Now today we are going to work on the most famous Hemi 5.7 tick. Now, there's a couple reasons why you can hear a tick, a loud tick, every time you start it up when it's cooled down. Either that tick gets quiet or it goes away. So, there's two ways you can do to see that. Okay, I got my wheel off already. Have it jacked up on a jack stand, and I took out my my wheel well, I guess, and I started to already, I sprayed penetrating fluid on some bolts already. So, to tell if you have an exhaust leak, which would be the tick, is check this right here is your exhaust manifold shield. If you can move them, then you got broken studs. So we're gonna go ahead, remove this exhaust manifold, replace the studs, and put everything back together. I bought a brand new exhaust manifold gasket, so that's gonna go on as well with some new studs, new hardware on the header. Now, if you do this and your tick doesn't go away, well, then you got an internal problem. Then you would have a camshaft issue where one of the lobes are either kind of starting to flat or something like that, and the valve is not opening up as much anymore. So, but as we can see, we see one issue already, which would cause exhaust to escape through here, kind of making a ticking sound. And for those that own a 5.7, you guys know what I'm talking about. So, even with the wheels on and the wheel well on, you can still fit your hand through here and check. If your shields are loose, then your ticking is caused by an exhaust leak. You can check both sides, but mainly it's always the passenger side. 80% of the time it's the passenger side. Why? I don't know. So, but luckily on mine it's just the passenger side. The driver's side is fine. The shield is not loose or anything. So I'm gonna let my motor cool down a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the shield. The shield uses 10mm nuts, one there and one up front. Let's see, right there. So I'm gonna remove those real quick, and most likely there's something under here as well. So I'm gonna remove that using 10mm sockets, and we'll go from there. So be right back. So to do today's job, you are going to need long needle nose pliers if you have them. They're to hold the nut in place, to weld it to the stud if you could, and you'll need a welder if you have one. If you don't, you could always use these vice grips to pull off the studs. After I weld it onto the studs, I use this special socket. It's used to remove rounded out nuts and bolts. I forgot the real name for that. You'll need a Phillips screwdriver to, if you have screws, to remove from your fender flare. You'll need 14, 13, and 10mm open-end wrenches. You'll need 3/8 and 1/4 inch ratchets. You'll need 5/16 socket, for your inner fender well, you'll need a 14 millimeter deep socket, a 13 deep millimeter socket, a 10 millimeter short and long socket, and a 1/2 inch long and short socket to do today's job. And if you're going to reuse some hardware, I recommend you use some Scotch-Brite to clean them up, the threads, to clean up the threads. So that's what we are going to use today's in our video, and a larger wrench for leverage to use on these, and on the 3/8 ratchet to get into tight spots. All right, let's continue today's video. Okay, so I took the heat shield off, and well, only 2 came out, and the 2 in the back are indeed broken. Now, when I was taking them off, taking the shield out, I was kind of hoping that both rear studs, or the studs that are broken, at least look like this one. But on this one, but on the bottom one, it looks like this. I'm hoping that these are the only 2 that are broken. So I'm gonna go ahead, start taking the manifold off. The manifold uses 10 millimeter bolts as well on there, and I haven't seen what the 2 rears use that hook up to the down pipe right here. I don't know what those are, but I'll tell you here in a second. But it looks like I'm gonna have to do a little bit of welding to get that stud out of the block. Oh well, something I didn't want to do today, but that's fine. It is what it is. You don't have to be a good welder to do this, but you can't be a bad welder either, because the last thing you want to do is mess up your block. But it's an aluminum block, so the weld won't stick to the block, which is a good thing. So but before I say anything else, I'm gonna go ahead, remove that, and we'll see where we're at. Okay. And to do I mean, when you're working on this exhaust, it's kind of good that the exhaust is at least warm to do it. So alright, let me remove those bolts and get back. Okay, so the exhaust header manifold is ready to come out. So the rear bolts, the 2 bolts down here for the pipe, they are 14 millimeter bolts, and after you remove the 10 millimeter bolts from the manifold, when you get to the studs that hold the 4 studs that hold the heat shield down, well, once you get the 10 millimeter nuts off, then you're left with the studs, and the studs are 13 millimeter. So you got 4 13 millimeter after you remove the 10 millimeter nuts from the the heat shield. So that's what you need. You need 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter, and 14 millimeter to do this part. So now this is ready to come out. Let me see if I can do it with one hand. I doubt it, depending how heavy it is. Yeah, I'm gonna need both hands because of that one stud that broke off flush with the manifold. That's kind of holding it into place right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and deal with that right now. I just need to pull it out real quick. Okay, now with the header out of the way, I can definitely tell that I had an exhaust leak right there. As you can tell, all the other holes, they don't have that black smoke around them like this one does. I just sprayed some WD-40 on that stud. Hopefully I can just put my vice grips to it and pull it out. But that one down there, the little guy, I'm gonna have to weld. Luckily he's not that deep into the block, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pretty much keep doing a continuous spot weld until I have enough grip on it. Hopefully it works. If not, what I'll do, I'll try and weld a nut to it and use a nut to make it come out. But with the heat from the welder, a spot welding it, it'll create the heat, expand the metal, and help me drive that thing out. And then I can start putting everything back together with the new gasket. This is the old one right here. Doesn't look bad, but I'm just gonna replace it. I bought new ones anyway, so. Well, let me get the stud out, get that little one in there out with the welder, and I guess I'll be right back. Alright, so I got the two broken studs off. Now I'm gonna do is get my Scotch-Brite scuffing pad, clean those up real quick, and then I'm gonna start putting everything back together. So what I did do is I did use my welder like I said I was gonna use my welder on a stud that was long that I could have grabbed with my vice grips right here. Well, they were not doing the trick, so I put this, I welded on a little bit here, as you can see. I welded some on there, and then I used my socket, this special socket that can pull out stripped stuff out. And I did the same thing to the one that was in the block itself. I tried to do it straight, but it came out at an angle. But anyways, it stuck on hard. Used the socket again, and they both came out. A trick to do, or to keep in mind, when you finally get a grip on the nut and you see it move, I recommend you move it back and forth for a little bit, back and forth, and then go ahead, do a few turns back and forth, and then do a few turns off, back and forth, and keep it going. And then when you feel like it's really coming free, then just go ahead and take it all the way out. But yeah, this socket, I forgot what it's called, but it works great. It went right on there on those broken bolts and took them right out. So I don't think I gotta show you guys how to put it all back together. So I'm gonna clean it up, put the new gasket on, put the header back on, and that's it, really. Alright, well, I'll show you guys after I got everything back on. There is no special way of putting it back on. I mean, just use the tools you have. I use nothing but hand tools. I didn't use any impacts in this video, so you can do it all by hand tools, by your open end wrenches. Right there, I have my impact there, but it was not useful for what I wanted to use it for. But pretty much just all that. So be right back. Alright, so I got everything back bolted on, new hardware, new gasket on, tightened up everything. The way I tighten it, I first tighten the ones in the middle, then work my way out. So that's what I did on that. Alright, so we're about to do the first official startup. Let's see if we don't hear that tick anymore out of that corner. So let's go turn it on. Okay. I don't hear that tick anymore. Oh man, sounds beautiful now. Damn. Oh, you guys all know how good it feels right now not to feel that, not to hear that tick anymore on startup. The motor is completely cold. It's been in here for hours before I started working on it. I wanted to pretty much be almost cold, but I did want it to be a little bit warm, just so it was easy to remove all of the bolts off of the exhaust manifold. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Nice simple little video. Man, it feels really good right now. Yeah, I haven't done bolt removals like that before. So, oh man, feels good. Well, that completes today's video. I was working on my Ram 2500 with the 5.7 in it. I know why didn't they just put the 6.4? But whatever. It is what it is. It's a nice, good working truck. I bought it to pull my lowrider around for the summers to go to the car shows. So it's the main reason why I bought it. It's a 2012. So this repair that we did is for any 5.7 that is from 2010, I believe, to all the way up to 2018 with the 5.7 Hemi motors. So it's all the same thing. Oh man, feels good. Alright, well this is where I'm gonna leave you, everybody. I don't think I gotta show you putting on my wheel, my fender flare, and my wheel well, because that's all pretty much simple and easy to do. Well, hopefully this helps you guys out, and if you guys want some more of this, repairs and stuff like that, I'm gonna do more repairs on the truck in these new universal joints up front. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.